Welcome to the Fat Guys and Friends podcast, everyone. We are doing our first recap show of the NFL week and getting back into our normal schedule after doing lots of fun NFL previews for this season. My name is Colton Bartholomew and joined, as always, by co-host of this show and fellow fat man, Mr. Logan Wanger. Wang, how are you today, friend?
Very good, Bart. How are you?
Oh, not bad, as opposed to, blowing that first attempt at an open. But
should have kept it. It was going good.
It was going off the rails, which is probably how the rest of this is going to go. But
it's good if you stumble over the word fat and it's like the third word you're saying.
It's probably because I am fat, just kind of stuff gets in the way up top there.
Chubby cheeks are hard to move sometimes.
Exactly.
Hard to move all this shit around.
Like I said, we're going to do our NFL recap. That'll be quick, and we'll talk about the opening week here of the NFL season, the glorious week that it was, and talk a little bit about next week, and then general bullshit that you come to this podcast to hear. What we'll do a quick rundown of each game, give you a couple of highlights that we saw, and or kind of takeaways that we had from the game. Wayne, just overall, would you say this is one of the better first weeks of football that we've had in the times that we've been consciously watching football?
The opening week of football you're always going to think is better than what it is because you haven't seen football for 6-ish months except for the bullshit preseason. So, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to say it's better than any opening weekend of football I've ever seen, but, it's a solid opening weekend of football nonetheless.
I'll give you that. There were lots of close games, though. You can't
That's
deny
true.
that. There were lots of close games. A couple came down right to the end with field goals. Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to go back and forth, kind of give you a quick recap and what we're going to take away from the games. So, let's get started. Our Week 1 NFL recap. Take it away, Wayne.
Broncos over the Panthers, 21-20. Bart, your take.
Defense for both teams looked really good. Forced some turnovers. Denver Broncos, defending Super Bowl champs, take out Cam Newton anytime they can. Fuck them.
Fuck you.
Fuck them. Okay,
Fuck you.
Packers 27-23 over the Jaguars. Wang.
Packers looked okay. Jacksonville looked better than people, I think, thought they were going to be, but Green Bay needs to shore up their offense because they're not going to get to play Jacksonville every game. Ravens 13-7 over the Bills. Bart.
Ugly. Terribly ugly game. The Bills can play defense but can't score somehow after the offense they had last year. Rex Ryan's not a good coach. I'm happy for the Ravens. We both kind of had them a little bit better than last year. Starting off well right there. Okay, Texans 23-14 over the Bears. Wang.
Brock Osweiler, elite quarterback. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding. He gets to throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, and the Bears are not a very good football team.
No, they're not.
Eagles 29-10 over the Browns. Bart.
Dumpster fire in Cleveland. Oh my God, RG3, how dumb are you? The man hurts himself by running into a 280-pound man. Oh, terrible. Heck, and Carson Wentz looked okay.
True.
Okay, Buccaneers 31-24 over the Falcons. Wang.
Buccaneers could be the surprise team in the NFC this year. Jameis Winston looked awesome, throwing 4 touchdown passes. Falcons, I don't think are going to be very good, but showed up and played well against the Buccaneers defense.
Always tough to start in division on the road like that. Good job by Jameis.
True. Vikings 25-16 over Tennessee.
Supports my theory that Marcus Mariota is not very good. He gave the Vikings all of their points. All of their touchdowns, I should say. 2 defensive touchdowns for the Vikings. Blair Walsh had a terrible first half, came back in the second half, made some kicks. We'll see what the hell happens with the Vikings, but that offense was terrible. Okay, Bengals 23, Jets 22. Wang.
Bengals probably should have lost. Andy Dalton didn't perform very well, but the Jets do have a very good defense. I don't think the Jets are going to play that well going forward, and Ryan Fitzpatrick showed that he's not a very good NFL quarterback, throwing an awful interception on the last drive. Raiders 35, Saints 34, and probably the game of the weekend.
Game of the weekend, definitely pretty wild. Going back and forth in the fourth quarter. Raiders scored 22 in the fourth quarter to not only win, but also cover the spread like the geniuses that they are. Going for 2 at the end to go for the win as opposed to overtime. I love the move. Drew Brees somehow threw 4 touchdowns and lost again. Kind of the Drew Brees method now. Okay, another game of the weekend in overtime. Chiefs 33, Chargers 27.
Chargers outperformed and then lost their top receiver, so are going to go back to being bad. Chiefs started off extremely slow and then showed that they're probably one of the better teams in the AFC and came back and won in overtime, but still a little concerning to see the Chiefs struggle so bad, especially if you have their defense in fantasy football like me.
Yes, did I?
Seahawks 12-10 over Miami.
This was an ugly one. Another one.
Yeah, I didn't like watching this game at all.
Oh, man. And Miami's defense actually looked pretty good to go out there in Seattle and really put a test to them. Took another crazy Russell Wilson fourth quarter drive to win this one. Russell Wilson was hurt. Supposedly is in a walking boot this week. Actually gave me a little bit more hope for the Dolphins season and more concern for the Seahawks offense because they could not move the ball. All right, Lions 39, Colts 35. Wang.
What a weird game. Lions jump out to a huge lead. Colts need Andrew Luck to be a great NFL quarterback to come back and make it a game. The Lions eventually kick a field goal to take a 2-point lead, Then a weird safety happens at the end to fuck up the line.
No, the line was fine because the Lions were underdogs and they won, so it all worked out.
Oh, you're right. I looked at the line wrong. God damn it. Now I look stupid. Giants 2019 over the Cowboys.
All right, Dak Prescott looked okay. They protected him pretty well. He threw it 45 times because the Giants gave him 8-man boxes all the time against Zeke Elliott. Odell Beckham had a couple of nice catches. Overall, Giants look like they can actually make a stop here or there when they need to. Or maybe it was just they're playing a rookie quarterback. But a little hope on both sides because Dak didn't look that bad. So, into the Sunday night game here, Patriots 23 over the Cardinals 21. Wang, what do you got?
This game made me really mad because I bet on Arizona and they did not cover and did not even win. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like he could be the heir apparent to Tom Brady potentially, but it's just one game. I don't want to overreact. Carson Palmer looked okay for Arizona. Larry Fitzgerald proved that he's still a really good wide receiver. Arizona shouldn't have lost that game. You're playing at home on Sunday night against a quarterback making his first ever start. That's a game you got to win. But they didn't. Monday Night Football. Pittsburgh Steelers 38, Redskins 16. Talk up the Steelers, Bart.
Oh, another ugly one for Washington. The Steelers gave them every chance in the first quarter to build a huge lead with a turnover and some bad offense early. But then, Ben Roethlisberger kept finding Antonio Brown. Made a couple incredible catches, had a 4th and 1 go for a touchdown. Antonio Brown reasserting himself at the top of the league, making all the fantasy owners happy that drafted him number 1. Really more of the same for Pittsburgh that you keep expecting out of them, proving they're going to be a good team this year. And in the absolute dog shit game of the weekend, 49ers 28, Rams 0. Wang.
Recap of the Los Angeles Rams. They lost to the team that I thought was going to be the worst team in the NFL by 28 fucking points. It didn't even put up a point on their end. I don't know why Jared Goff wasn't dressed. He should have been in the game in the second half when they realized Case Keenum shouldn't be playing in the NFL. I don't know if you should even have a job in Canada the way he looked. I don't know how Jeff Fisher continues to have a job, even though he got a contract extension. I said I think the Rams are going to be the most improved team in the NFL this year, and I am a goddamn retard.
All right. Well, that was our Week 1 NFL recap. We'll get into some of the highlights that we just gave you, but we wanted to break it down real quick for all the tens of listeners that we might have at this point.
Speed round for the loyal listeners.
Exactly, speed round. Because you know what? If you're listening to this podcast, you probably watched the games this weekend and you know what happened. But first thing I want to talk to you about, obviously, your Steelers we're recording this Tuesday night. Steelers had a nice Monday night debut there. Clearly, Washington is not as good as what some people thought. But the big question that came out of the game is, why is Josh Norman not covering Antonio Brown?
Yeah, why are you paying a man $75 million to take up half the field and not follow the number one receiver on the other side? If you're going to claim you're the best quarterback, not in the NFL, the best cornerback in the world, you cover arguably the best receiver in the NFL every single play. And he did not do that. And finally, Todd Haley realized, hey, Josh Norman isn't following this guy. Let's put Antonio Brown on the left side of the field and throw him the ball every single play.
It worked out. Antonio
Yeah,
Brown
it worked
had
out pretty well.
126 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of them, like I said, on a 4th and 1. That pretty much was the end of the competitive game for Washington because it put the Steelers up and Washington just looked bad.
How about the nutsack on Big Ben to auto? Because they had a run play called. You could tell it was a run play, and not just to audible to a pass play, but to not throw the wide open first down pass that he had underneath, but to chuck it up to Antonio Brown and be like, "Fuck it, I want a tutty."
Are those large testicles that Ben Roethlisberger has? Are they in your mouth right now?
Not willingly. Ha 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 ha. Fuck everyone.
Oh, yeah. No, great play by him. I mean, I think anytime he looks to his left and sees Antonio Brown versus anyone one-on-one, he's just going to go to him.
Yeah, but you got it. I don't think it's a question right now. Antonio Brown is the best receiver in the NFL.
No, I agree. He's I'd say probably one of like 2 or 3 guys that combines everything, as in like, can go over the middle and catch balls, do all the outside routes and then still be a deep threat. It's probably like him and Julio Jones, the only guys that can really do all of that. And he's
maybe Odell Beckham Jr.
Maybe. But just out of this world performance by him. And you and I were talking earlier, some of the throws that Ben Roethlisberger was throwing his way, they're almost like not intentional incompletions, but it's like it's either Antonio or nothing, and he's making some great adjustments with the ball in the air, catching it, and keeping himself in bounds.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier when we were chatting. You said some of those throws weren't good throws by Ben Roethlisberger, and you're not wrong. But when you're throwing to a guy like Antonio Brown, who can go up and get the ball and contort his body in such a way where either he's going to come down with it or he's going to make sure the defender doesn't come down with it, Roethlisberger can get away with throwing on the run and just chucking it up to AB and hoping for the best most of the time.
Exactly. And, we mentioned it during the recaps. Possibly the most disappointing loss in the NFL this year or this weekend was the Cardinals losing to the Patriots 23-21. Wayne, help me out here. The Patriots didn't have Tom Brady.
Nope.
They didn't have Gronk.
Nope.
They didn't have Rob Ninkovich.
Nope.
Martellus Bennett barely played.
Yep.
The fuck did they win this game?
I don't know. I have no idea. The Cardinals should have won the game at the end, but even then, it shouldn't come down to a field goal. When, like I said in the recaps, you're playing a quarterback making his first ever start. I don't care that he's been learning under Tom Brady for, I think, 3 years now. I don't care that he has Bill Belichick, probably the greatest coach of all time. I don't care. He doesn't even have that great of weapons. Like you said, Gronk wasn't playing. Martellus Bennett barely played. He threw a touchdown pass to Chris fucking Hogan, for Christ's sake.
A wide open one. Total blown coverage.
I mean, the Cardinals defense, we talked in our previews, was poised to be probably a top 5 defense this year, we both thought. Mm-hmm. And they came out and laid a fucking egg. And I'm not going to say I'm concerned, because you can't really be concerned after week 1 unless it's a devastating loss like the fucking Rams had. But it's eye-opening, at least, for the Cardinals, I would say.
For sure. And you mentioned the only conceivable reason that this result happened. Bill Belichick's better than everyone in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's really no argument anymore that Bill Belichick's the best coach. I would argue ever, but definitely in the NFL now.
Oh, easily right now. For sure, a top 5 coach all time. I'm going to argue top 2, maybe even top 1.
It was incredible to watch how his team came out, like you mentioned, rookie quarterback essentially, and they marched down the field first drive and scored. Then they had the big touchdown on a blown coverage, which was like his second or third read, and he just floated it out there, and Chris Hogan ran under it and caught it. It's like, hey, Arizona, you know that you're 10 or 9-point favorites, and you're playing a rookie, and you're at home, and you're supposed to be NFC favorites here.
Yeah, a lot of people picked the Cardinals to be in the Super Bowl this year. I mean, I'm not one of them because I'm not stupid. I mean, look how they performed. But it just blows my mind how good Bill Belichick is. He knows what your defense is good at, and he's going to do the exact opposite. If he knows you have a great run defense, he's not going to run the ball a single time. Tom Brady's, or in this case, Jimmy Garoppolo, is just going to throw the ball 60 times. They don't care. If you have a really good pass defense, they're like, we don't care. Last year we had Deion Lewis and LeGarrette Blount. We're just going to run the ball the entire time, and Tom Brady will throw if we need him to. It's just amazing what Bill Belichick does. And what I'm more amazed of is the fact that Bill Belichick doesn't give a shit about anything. Like, he'll come up in his post-game press conferences and mumble for 18 minutes. And poor sports writers have to be like, well, what'd you think of the game, Bill? And he's like...
Offense executed good. Defense executed well. Special teams executed well. Executed well in all three phases.
All three phases of the game? No, we're on to Cincinnati. It's like, come on, man. Give me something. I get paid to do this.
Oh, what an intelligent man. You mentioned the game I want to talk a little bit more about. Just that god-awful performance by the LA Rams. Are you kidding me?
After you were on Hard Knocks for the entire preseason, so much hype, you have the number 1 pick, then you don't even dress the poor guy. Like, come on.
Well, you got that going on where he doesn't even, he's holding the clipboard. They're panning the camera over to him after every god-awful throw by Case Keenum. And, you're playing a team who you mentioned in the short recap is going to be terrible. I don't care what anybody says, just the talent on the 49ers is not good. And then you just make it easier for them.
Jim Kelly now.
Yeah. You make it so easy for them saying, oh, wait, we're going to hand the ball off to Todd Gurley as many times as possible. And then when it's 3rd and long, we're going to throw out routes in the flat. Just keep knocking those down, and we'll keep giving you the ball back.
The Rams' offense looked like an 8-year-old playing Madden. It looked like somebody was like, well, I could just run the ball and try to get really close, and then at 3rd down, I'll throw an out route. But it's not going to work because I'm 8 years old and I'm playing Madden and I suck. That's what their offense looked like.
So do you think next week Fisher lets Goff dress? Supposedly he's still going to ride with Case Keenum.
Yeah, he came out and said that Case Keenum is still the starting quarterback and that this doesn't affect the quarterback situation at all. Which, I don't know if he watched the game or if he just took a nap while they were on offense. It was ridiculous. You traded up to get the number 1 overall pick. You had to give up a lot from the Titans. And by the way, how smart do the Titans look now? I mean, I know Mariota didn't look good, but they got a boatload back for that number 1 pick. And they're going to ride with Mariota for a while. But if you're going to take Goff with the number 1 pick, you're thinking he's the best player in the draft. That's what the number 1 overall pick means. Mm-hmm. And if you're not going to play him, why? I mean, you're in... This wasn't in LA, but you're back in California. You're playing your new again, I suppose, in-state rival. Start the kid. What do you have to lose? It's not like you're going to be a playoff team this year. No one is expecting the Rams to go to the playoffs. So why not roll with Jared Goff?
Except apparently fucking Jeff Fisher. We saw on Hard Knocks, he's like, oh, I'm tired of 7-9, 8-8. Well, no problem, buddy, because 3 wins is going to be difficult for you.
Yeah,
they extend Tavon Austin, which is a joke because we talked about in our previews. That guy's a punt returner. He's not a wide receiver. He can't run routes and get open by himself. And then
he's a glorified running back because all they do is throw bubble screens to him and let him return, and that is it.
It's an absolute joke. It's angering to watch. You can hear the anger in our voice because it's like the fact that Jeff Fisher probably was chosen and gets to keep his job over new people that can actually do shit is so dumb.
Over us. I think you and I are better. You and I combined might be a better head coach than Jeff Fisher.
Yes. You and I, that's what we gotta go interview as a tag team. We gotta go split that. We can split that salary. He probably makes like $5 million a year.
Yeah, $2.5 million a piece.
Easy.
Jesus Christ. We'll do it for $500,000.
If all I have to do is go out there and score 0 points and let Chip Kelly run all over me and not do anything about it, I can do that all day.
Yeah, even you and I are smart enough to throw the rookie out there and be like, well, he's still learning. It's not my fucking fault.
Yeah. And it's just, oh man, it was just so dumb. And then you saw the defense who got all this hype and is supposed to be, one of the best front sevens in the NFL, and Aaron Donald's supposed to be the best lineman in the NFL. They completely imploded on themselves. Let Blaine Gabbert light up 4 touchdowns. A Blaine Gabbert-led offense score 28 points.
I think Aaron Donald proved that he might be the best literal choker. I mean, not like choking in the game, but like physically choking somebody. He might be 99 overall at it.
Yeah, I would say so. I've been watching some
I
Undertaker
thought he was going to
videos.
deliver a choke slam. I was really hoping for it.
Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, any other games you want to talk about at length here?
Let me look over the scores again because I wasn't paying attention. Really, that Seahawks game was pretty surprising to me. One I do want to talk about was that fucking Raiders finish.
Oh, man.
Speaking of big nutsacks, I talked about Ben Roethlisberger going up top. Then make all your rape jokes you want. It took a lot of balls to do that. How about Jack Del Rio being like, I told the guys, we're going to go down there and score, and then we're going to go for 2, and we're going to win the game. That's awesome.
It's very awesome because you know
Raiders
what?
Raiders have been bad for a long time, and you and I both think this is the year they're going to turn it around, and that's how you fucking start turning it around is by trying to get a win week 1.
And especially the way they had played, their defense was letting up huge play after huge play. The Saints couldn't get anything going within 10 to 15 yards of the line, but the minute Breeze started throwing it 15 to 40 yards deep, they were just getting huge touchdowns. And that 98-yard touchdown pass to Cooks, and just Willie Snead had 2 huge touchdown catches. To then know, hey, this is our chance to win the game. We're not going to give them the ball again with, an attempt to lose. You know what I mean? We're going to make them have to beat us. We're not just going to go to overtime and be okay with that.
Yeah, it's exactly what you need to do with the young offense that you have. I mean, I know he threw it up top to Michael Crabtree, and by the way, what a fucking catch by Crabtree.
Yeah, man. Fighting that dude off, essentially a one-handed catch. He caught it with one hand, really, and when he started bringing it down, he tapped the other hand on it to secure it, but...
That was really the only other one I wanted to bring up just because of how I love going for 2 at the end of the game. If you got a chance to win it, go for it.
Fucking ain't right, man. There is no point, especially with the way that the Saints were playing offense, there would be no point in trusting your defense and not let up another huge play in an overtime session.
Yeah, I know they've done their best to change the overtime format in the NFL, but it's still basically a coin toss. If you have a high-powered offense that you haven't been able to stop, they're probably going to go down there and get a touchdown at will, and the game's still over. So you're trusting a coin flip again.
Yeah. I mean, especially in that situation where you're letting up huge plays and making it easy for them, really.
Exactly.
All
so
right.
at this point, do you want to move over to our generic power rankings that everyone else is going to do, but people should listen to ours because we're really smart?
You're damn right I do.
Listen to me, listen to me.
Absolutely. It's gonna be fun.
Generic NFL power rankings that everyone else is going to do, but you should listen to ours because we're smart.
All right. How about, do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to give all of our lists? This is probably something we should have talked about beforehand, but we're doing it live.
Let's do it live. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Let's do it all. Give me your top 5, Wang. All right, so we're going to do our generic power rankings that you're going to hear on every other source, but we're better, so listen to ours.
I have somewhat of a shocker coming in at number 5, I believe. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right.
I think Jameis Winston showed that he has everything that it takes to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Threw 4 touchdowns, again, on the road. I mean, sure, one was just Charles Sims running in for a touchdown after he dumped it off to him. But the other 3 were really nice throws. I think, like I said when we were talking about him earlier, I think Tampa Bay could be the surprise team in the NFC this year.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
You know what? We're alternating now that you...
All right.
We're alternating. Because I also have the Buccaneers at number 5.
Woo!
That was a huge statement win by them because that game was easily losable. On the road against a veteran team like Atlanta, who we both kind of said in our previews we don't seem to be very good this year, but still a veteran team at home. The way you mentioned Jameis Winston, the way he played, finding his targets, because he has good targets in Jackson and especially Mike Evans, finding those guys, especially in the red zone, just a lot of poise. And we heard Bruce Arians this week as the Buccaneers prepare to play Arizona. Bruce Arians sees Winston developing the same way that Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, those type of guys did. So I think you're definitely right. He's on his way to be one of those top guys, top franchise quarterbacks.
Both quarterbacks that Arians has had first-hand coaching experience with, so you know that's high praise coming from him.
Exactly.
Number 4, I'm going to make you pretty happy. I'm going with the Denver Broncos.
All right.
I know I shit on them in our previews, and our friend Steve shit on them even harder in our previews. That defense, though, even with all the losses, I didn't think it was going to be doing the same things that they did last year. Fuck me, because I was wrong. They annihilated Cam Newton. I mean, now they're getting investigated for playing the game of football too hard. Wham, wham, wham. Cam Newton got hit in the head too many times. But even on the offensive, even on the offensive side of the ball, they did enough to win. Trevor Siemian, I think the overall consensus was, He did enough to win, but also
good enough. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good enough.
Yeah. With a defense like that, all they need is good enough. So
exactly.
My number 4 team, your Denver Broncos.
I appreciate that, and I was worried how the run game was going to, or run defense was going to be affected by losing Malik Jackson, but Kilgo and Jared Crick came in and did their thing, man. I was so impressed by their play, and then the way that the offense was able to just get chunks of yardage and actually convert some third downs, which was a huge problem for him last year. Simeon being able to run Kubiak's system is a huge upgrade. My number 4 team, even though we discussed how much we hate them in our previews, the Packers.
Cool.
That's also a tough game on the road. They honestly probably should have lost. Aaron Rodgers makes a miraculous throw with a guy dragging his jersey back. Devontae Adams makes a great catch on that play. What I liked from that team was the run defense. Yeldon was able to make some guys miss, but they were able to shut it down in the third, fourth quarter to the point that they being the Jacksonville Jaguars, had to throw every down, and that's when the Packers secondary was able to break up some balls and really make it to the point that Jacksonville was going to throw every down. Even on that fourth down, the end of the game, Jacksonville was throwing. They didn't trust the run game anymore, and Packers could pull out a win there. So, Packers number 4 for me.
I can respect that. My number 3, which I think a lot of people are going to have higher, but I don't want to overreact after just one win. New England Patriots. I say Jimmy Garoppolo did enough to get the win. I mean, it was only a 2-point win, but yes, it was on the road. Didn't have his weapons, as we said, didn't have Gronk. Missing Nikovic on the defense. Martellus Bennett barely played. His main receiver was Chris Hogan, because Julian Edelman really didn't do a whole lot.
He caught a lot of underneath passes. He softened them up.
But like I said, Jimmy G doing enough to get the win. Potentially could be higher, but as I said, I don't want to overreact after just one game. So number 3, New England Pat Riots.
Gotcha. My number 3 is my Denver Broncos. You heard my reasons earlier. One guy I do want to shout out, though. Matt Paradis, the center, making huge holes for C.J. Anderson, was actually the top-ranked offensive lineman by Pro Football Focus this week. So,
Hey-o.
My number 3, Denver Broncos.
Always got to give love for our fellow fat man.
Exactly.
My number 2 team is a team you already mentioned. I am going Green Bay Packers.
Ooh,
I know they didn't look great, but they didn't need to be great. As I mentioned, with Trevor Siemian, who doesn't have to be great for them to win. Same goes for the Green Bay defense for the exact opposite reason. When you have Aaron Rodgers, you just need to be good enough to stop them more times than Aaron Rodgers can score. And Aaron Rodgers with Jordy Nelson back, with Randall Cobb finally being able to go back and play the slot receiver, with Devontae Adams not looking like a dud anymore, with Jared Cook fitting into the offense more and more, and Eddie Lacy running the ball. this Green Bay offense could be really, really good, even though I hate their fans. I put them at number 2.
I hate their fans too, my friend. All right, my number 2 is your Pittsburgh Steelers. Not to just keep stroking each other off here, but you look at the way that they were able to just carve up Washington's defense, especially late with D'Angelo Williams, who won me my fantasy game in one of my leagues. Thank you, my friend.
No one cares about your fantasy team except for you.
Yeah, but you brought up fantasy with the Chiefs, so fuck you.
Yeah, but I didn't go in depth about it.
Oh, fuck you. All right.
Fuck you.
D'Angelo Williams helping fantasy owners everywhere.
There.
They were smart enough.
Include
They were
the
smart enough to
listeners,
handcuff him to
fuckface.
Le'Veon Bell. And we mentioned how great Antonio Brown looked. The Steelers are going to be there at the end of the season. They are going to have their say with who represents the AFC in the Super Bowl. One of the top teams right now. Steelers number 2.
And I know you mentioned that we wanted to stop jerking each other off, so I'm going to jerk myself off. My number 1 team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think any team had a better week 1. I mean, the rest of the teams that I mentioned didn't look very dominant. Steelers did. Steelers went out to the nation's capital and took care of business against a playoff team last year. I know the Redskins really didn't have a hard schedule last year. They were still a member of the NFC playoffs, and the Pittsburgh Steelers went in and didn't dominate the first quarter, but the next 3 quarters belonged to the Steelers. So fuck everyone else. They're my number 1 team right now.
All right. And you actually mentioned the team that's my number 1, and you said you didn't want to overreact over one win, but with who they didn't have and who they were playing, I'll overreact,
All right.
even though I don't think it's that big a deal. New England Patriots number 1 right now. You cannot say any I don't think there's anybody that could look at that schedule that they had once they realized they weren't going to have Tom Brady for the first 4 games and say, "Oh, that Arizona win, that's a win."
Yeah.
No,
I don't know anybody that picked that as a W.
No, yeah, that was anybody that was even optimistic saying 3-1. That was the one they were going to lose. For Jimmy Garoppolo to go in there with no Gronkowski either, and move the ball the way they did, eat up huge chunks of clock, and then defense held them off right at the end there to pick up the win. This team, once they get everybody back, is going to be absolutely insane. And I don't like it because they're probably going to beat the Broncos in the playoffs or some bullshit like they always do. But right now, Pat's number 1.
Yeah, I think that's the reason you and I hate Tom Brady the most, is because they consistently beat the Broncos and the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
I can't remember when I heard this, but in the last 10 or 12 AFC playoffs, it's been either the Ravens, Steelers, Broncos, or Patriots, somewhere in the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mainly that Joe Flacco was included with the likes of Manning, Roethlisberger, and Brady, because he doesn't belong there. Fuck Joe Flacco.
Fuck Joe. Okay. All right.
that guy.
We're also going to do our bottom 3 because if we're going to give you the top teams, we want to give you who we think sucked the most. So, Wang, who is your number 30 team? Or
For those who
third
listen to
worst?
other sports radio, you can tell that we are blatantly ripping this from SVP and Rosillo, who
Sure
used to
are.
be my favorite tandem, but they're not together anymore, and I don't know if he does this with Danny Cannell anymore, so we're going to take it for eventually when we get on the radio. My number 30 team, who was it? I got it written down, and now I'm going to look, because I don't have it written down. Oh, here we go. My number 30 team was the Tennessee Titans. I originally picked them in our previews to be a little better. I had them coming in 7-9 on the season. But the way Marcus Mariota performed, I don't see them being anywhere near that this year. The 2 defensive touchdowns that they let the Vikings get both looked bad on Mariota's part. I know this is really going to hurt our good friend Joe Barnes' feelings, who has been on the podcast numerous times. Sorry, Joe. Your Titans look like shit. They're the 30th team for me right now.
Yeah, we actually had the same 30th team. Titans looked terrible. That was an easily winnable game the way that the Vikings came out and were so inept on offense. Hey, Norv Turner, you have this guy in the backfield named Adrian Peterson.
Maybe
For the
try
second year in
use
a
him.
row, he's had less than 20 carries in week 1. That's legitimately indefensible. I don't care how ineffective he was in like the dozen carries he got. You have to give him the ball more. And still, in a game that Adrian Peterson doesn't beat you, you lose by double digits to the Vikings.
To Sean
Unreal.
Hill. Sean
Unreal
Hill
bad.
was the starting quarterback. I know
So
the
bad.
Titans are not good, but you need to give the ball to Adrian Peterson, like you said, because he's one carry away from 70 yards at any moment.
Exactly.
Any moment. Feed him the rock. My number 31 team in the NFL is the Cleveland Browns because they're really, really, really bad. Their only upside this season was if RG3 could do anything, but RG3 has done what RG3 does best and not slide when he goes out of bounds. Gets popped in the shoulder for no apparent reason and now has a fractured shoulder and is put on IR and could potentially miss the rest of the season, but will at least miss the next 8 weeks. So now they get to go back to Josh McCown, who's 37-year-old and still in the league for whatever reason. So not good news for the Browns. They're going to be really bad, and they're really bad right now.
Yeah, this is incredible. I also have the Browns at number 31.
Oh, my God.
Cleveland, you had your one. LeBron got it for you. The Browns are still going to be the Browns. Just awful. A rookie that 2 weeks ago wasn't going to be ready to dress for an NFL game just came in and put up 29.
And not just that, a rookie that didn't play Division I college football.
Yeah, not even to mention the fact that he played FCS football in college through
Yeah,
two
like he
perfect
wasn't-
touchdown passes, and
Yeah,
you
didn't
guys
go
look like
against-
shit.
Didn't go against elite defenses, like didn't play your Ohio States, didn't play your Alabamas, didn't play anybody close to that. I mean, I don't want to shit on FCS football, but it's FCS football.
Yeah.
And he came in and started week 1 against basically an FCS team in the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
So-
So you know what? Maybe he's a little more comfortable than he'll be. I don't think Philly's going to be any good, but I'm going to be picking against the Cleveland Browns every bet this year. I'm going to throw their opponent in teasers every week. It's ugly.
Can't believe you. So if we have the first two teams the same, I got a funny feeling our number 32 team is going to be the
So
same.
do I.
Jeff Fisher and the now LA Rams, who got shut out by one of the worst teams in football as well, the Blaine Gabbert-led 49ers. What the fuck, man? You didn't score any points, and you don't look good at all. You're the worst team. You're the worst team in the league.
Here's the worst part about it too. You are correct. We had the exact same bottom three. That's pretty impressive. We didn't even talk about this before.
No,
but
I mentioned it once.
LA didn't even give themselves opportunities to score. They didn't even have a field goal attempt because every time they got close, they would turn it over or they'd turn it over on downs. It was pathetic.
And I'm so mad because when you picked them to go 3-13 in our previews, I was appalled, and I was like, "No, Jared Goff's gonna be there week 1, and he's gonna make them good. He's got Todd Gurley, and defense is good too." But now all the defense does is choke people, and Jared Goff doesn't play football anymore, and Todd Gurley can't run the ball because everybody knows he's gonna run the ball, and now I look stupid.
Yeah, well, you could either say that or you can just admit that I'm gonna be right most of the time, and you suck.
Not yet. It's only week 1. I'll be
right.
smart again sooner or later.
All right, those are our power rankings, top and bottom of the league there. Like we mentioned, good week 1, awesome to get the season back going, and it's fun to have. It's fun to have a team that you love and root for that does well. Like obviously the Broncos and the Steelers for us, but
1-0, baby.
1-0. That's right, best you can be at this point.
Yeah,
but
on our way to 16-0. Can't argue it.
It also makes me happy to have a team to root against, and not just your rivals. Obviously, you're rooting against them, but I am rooting so hard against LA because I want to be right on this 3-13, and I might throw some money down on Jeff Fisher getting fired.
You will probably make money on that, especially if he refuses to understand that Jared Goff can play quarterback, but just won't use him.
Ridiculous. All right, so that was our week 1 recap and talking about our power rankings there. We haven't been able to talk about wrestling in quite a while because we've been doing our NFL previews,
been
but
too
some
long.
crazy shit has happened.
Yeah, far too long for us to not be talking about the wrestling.
I gotta tell you, if you told me a month ago that Kevin Owens and AJ Styles were going to hold the 2 biggest belts in the company, I would be, you're crazy. I wouldn't believe you at all. But here we are after Backlash on Sunday. Styles with a dirty finish over Dean Ambrose, and then Kevin Owens with the dirty finish over everybody with Triple H's help a couple weeks ago on Raw. Just an incredible time to watch them wrestling, and the fact that guys who got famous on the indie scene are now the heads of the both brands in WWE.
I mean, just think a year ago, before AJ Styles made his debut in the Royal Rumble. Just think then, he was wrestling in New Japan, but before that, everybody knew him as Mr. TNA. He was the TNA guy. He'd been there through the really good times in like 2007 to 2010, and the horrible times when Bischoff and Hogan came in, and then the even worse times when Dixie Carter came in, was like, I have a lot of money, now I'm going to run a wrestling company, and decided to just make it dog shit. Then he finally got out, is on the Indies for a while, goes to Ring of Honor for a little bit, goes to New Japan, like I said. Finally gets the call from WWE, makes his debut at the Royal Rumble. Everybody's like, yeah, AJ Styles is here. He's probably going to do some cool stuff. No way WWE ever gives him the championship. So he goes from that, he feuds with Jericho for a while, has his WrestleMania stuff. After that, feuds with Roman Reigns. And you're like, holy shit, they might give AJ Styles a championship. Then it's like, ha 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 ha, just kidding. Roman Reigns always wins right now. So then goes away for a little while, has his heel turn, his Bullet Club buddies come in. Then they have the club, they're doing that, they're beating up John Cena. You're like, yeah, AJ Styles is beating John Cena, beats John Cena clean at SummerSlam. And you're like, wow, this is probably the best thing AJ Styles will ever do in the WWE. Beat John Cena clean. Holy shit, this is awesome. Then Backlash comes, and he starts feuding with Dean Ambrose for the title. And you're like, yeah, he beat Cena. They got to give him something to do. He'll feud for the title for a little while. But then WWE's like, nah, fuck what all you smart marks think. We're going to give AJ Styles the championship.
Yeah, my biggest thing was I didn't think they wanted to take it off Dean that quickly. But, man, you want to talk about a push. AJ Styles getting the push, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's his quote-unquote rookie year in the WWE. I mean, I don't know how much of a rookie you can be in your mid to late 30s. But he made his debut, I mean, in the Royal Rumble, which is awesome for anybody to do. Feuds with Jericho at WrestleMania, beats John Cena clean, and is now WWE champion. Just
pretty incredible.
What a ride. I mean, that doesn't even begin to talk about Kevin Owens, who's been there for 2 years, was awesome at Ring of Honor, had probably his best run in Ring of Honor. I mean, with some guy named El Generico that nobody has seen since.
He's dead.
Yeah, that guy's probably out in Tijuana getting fucked by a donkey or something. But now he comes in. I mean, nobody thought they were going to pull the trigger on Owens that quick. I mean, he had his solid Intercontinental Championship run. I thought what he was doing with Jericho right now was awesome. But then they pull the trigger on him and have Triple H get him a dirty win too, which just sit back and think. Kevin Steen / Owens, whatever you want to call him, and AJ Styles are the top 2 champions in WWE.
Yeah,
that's mind-boggling.
If you know wrestling, it doesn't make any sense, but it's great and it's interesting. And they've brought their characters and their style to WWE, and they're the highlights of the show half the time now, and it's great to watch.
And one thing you could even put in as well is, if you want to get a little deeper, Shinsuke Nakamura is NXT champion. I mean, three of the literal greatest wrestlers in the world are on top of the WWE right now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, and it's crazy just to see the appreciation of the actual in-ring work. Like, it's kind of become a cycle, you know. Sometimes when the in-ring product isn't always good, the title belt just goes with the best talker or the best, you know, seller. But right now, I would argue that the in-ring work at the top of the cards for each show is probably at its highest, I don't know, maybe ever, or at least since like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, or since like Rock Austin.
Yeah, but even then, like, nobody can ever say Rock was a great worker, but he was just the best. You know, he was just the best wrestler ever. You know what I mean?
Fair. I mean, I'm a little blown away that they put the title on Shinsuke in NXT, just because he doesn't speak a very good English. I don't care if I'm going to be a little racist. He doesn't.
No. Thank God you got Samoa Joe to promo against him, and then you just get to stand there and
Yeah,
get cheered.
Joe. I mean, even building up to their match at TakeOver, all Shinsuke did was smile at Joe, and that was his promo. He just sat there and grinned at Samoa Joe until Samoa Joe got so mad that he had to be taken away by quote-unquote security. But that was awesome. I mean, how else are you going to counter the fact that your number one contender can't speak very good English than just have him fucking grin at his opponent?
Oh, man. Great stuff. If we're going to talk about wrestling, we'll end it on this one. You mentioned TNA. They happen to have the best thing that's happening in wrestling right now. And I talk to a friend of the podcast, Mr. Matt Shefke, about this all the time.
I got a funny feeling I know what you're
Broken
talking
Matt
about.
Hardy.
Oh, I love that guy.
Broken Matt Hardy is the greatest thing that's happened to wrestling probably since The Rock.
The big rumor going around is that Broken Matt Hardy wants to bring Broken Matt Hardy to the WWE, which I think needs to happen tomorrow.
No, it needs to happen yesterday.
Yeah.
This is amazing, number one. Number two, he gets to just come in. Everyone loves Matt. Everybody loves the Hardy Boys. And every wrestling fan that's like a real fan just of the general sport, if you will, knows about Broken Matt Hardy and has seen these ridiculous videos and how insanely popular it's gotten online. You bring him into a pay-per-view or something like that, it just tears the house down. We've seen it in a couple of pay-per-views the last few weeks and months here. Delete Chant start up, and it's like different company, different promotion.
Yep.
It's just the wrestling fans all appreciate how amazingly crazy and hilarious Matt Hardy has been. He did an entire Talk Is Jericho hour-long podcast in the Broken Matt character, and I legit had to pause playing Madden twice because I was laughing so hard.
And he keeps going on about how it's not a character and it's not a gimmick. He says he woke up one day and he was possessed by himself from the future. What? The best part is Matt Hardy was always the second Hardy. Jeff Hardy,
Oh, yeah.
It was known that he was going to be the star out of the Hardy Boys. And when Matt went away after his feud with Edge in the mid-2000s, he went away, did his thing in Ring of Honor, and he started calling himself a wrestling icon. It was really forgotten about on the indies. I mean, went to TNA, he's had a decent run there, but this Broken Matt Hardy stuff, he is better than Jeff Hardy right now, or Broken
Ever.
Brother Nero right now.
Yeah,
Just-
Brother Nero.
Oh my god,
Oh,
it's
God.
so good.
Too funny. Every time he calls him Brother Nero, and calling him a spot monkey and an obsolete mule and all this other Jesus Christ, the seven deities. There are so many elements to this crazy character that he's created. Like, number one, whoever saw this from Matt Hardy, because he was always solid, but he was just a guy that did some high flying stuff.
Yeah,
but,
be a solid mid-card guy, and that's probably it.
Yeah, and the way that he's created this character and this gimmick that's out of control funny, and what wrestling's really supposed to be. Just, it's entertainment. Yeah, and guess what? He gets in the ring, he does the same 18, 20 moves that he's been doing since he was, original Hardy Boy Matt Hardy. But Broken Matt is everything.
And I would argue that the best thing he does is on Twitter, because he'll talk about what WWE is doing, and he'll only refer to Mr. McMahon as Mr. Meek Man.
Meek
And
Man.
the way he says it is perfect. And he even types it out how he says it when he talks about people on Twitter. This is the best thing in wrestling right now.
Sasha Banks changed her Twitter handle or something like that to Sasha Broken Banks. So it's spreading, man.
Props to Matt Hardy for
It's incredible. Had to get a
breaking
shout out. If we're talking wrestling, because friend of the podcast, Matt Shefke, and I always text each other the latest Matt Hardy stuff because it's just too funny.
You gotta.
All right, that was our Week 1 NFL recap and some wrestling stuff for everybody. Wang, tell people where they can find us online, my friend.
On Twitter at Fat Guys, capital N is in Nancy Friends. Tweeted us, and so we can get in Twitter wars on the internet, because we'll fight with people because we don't give a shit.
Yeah,
We're also-
and it's on our phones. We got time.
Yeah, we're also on Facebook. You just search for Fat Guys and Friends. comment on our shit, and we'll fight with you there, because, again, we don't give a shit. You can also email us, fatguysandfriends@gmail.com. We can get an email fight where nobody else can see what a piece of shit you are when you lose a fight with us there. And then we're also on iTunes, so you can download, like, subscribe, and share all that stuff. And because when we challenge you to fights, you can hear them there and be like, oh, now I'm going to fight with these guys. And then we're also on YouTube, so you can comment there, where we can also fuck you up on YouTube. Bang, 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 bang.
That was a violent ending, but it was probably our best ending ever.
Thanks. It felt right. I don't know why I got so mad.
All right. Thank you all for listening.
Goodbye.